Welcome to Cash Talk, the podcast where we delve into the depths of finance, business, and life itself. I'm your host, John Cachia, a multi-award-winning wealth advisor with a passion for empowering ambitious Australians to confidently achieve financial freedom. Hey everyone, before we get started, this is a quick reminder that everything in this podcast is of a general nature and nothing has been tailored to your personal circumstances. So please seek personal financial advice before acting on this information. Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Cash Talk. And once again, I'm joined by fellow wealth advisor, Mason Thorn. Mason, how are you, mate?
Going well, thank you. It's been a while since I've been on, but I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's it. It has been a little bit of time between drinks. There's been a few things happening. I've got my new kind of scorpion chair going on here, which has been really good for my back. But besides that, just been busy, got another kid on the way coming, and business has been thriving, which is awesome, which we see our new business thriving well, which, as it's been, as people have known, this has been something I've been working on for many, many years. But for us, it really kind of resonates well with what we're doing for everyone, which is awesome. But today we're going to be speaking about common money mistakes that people have and why they make them, okay? And most importantly, how to avoid them and build better financial habits. But before we get into that, Mason, a little bit just about you. Have you made any money mistakes since we last catched up? Has there been something, because we're all human here, or something that you may have unexpectedly thought about or maybe come across with a client?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yes, we all make these money mistakes, definitely. Even experts in the field make these mistakes because, as you say, we are human. One that comes across my mind at the moment is my insurances. Actually, I just sort of paid them this year. Even though there was quite a hefty rise in home and contents and car insurance and these types of things, I sort of paid them. I actually didn't even do any comparisons or anything, which is unlike me. I think I just sort of accepted for what it was and just didn't just let it slip through. But now I'm sort of thinking back, like, Mason, you probably overspent there, and that's a few $100s that I could have potentially saved. So I think that's a bit of a mistake on my end, John.
Yeah, I thought you might have gone with the whole Japanese holiday. There might have been something that you would have purchased that, got caught up in the novelty, but that is a good one. For me, Mason, I think, I still get caught up with sometimes impulse buying, and I think that I'm going to use them, and I think that and I think I'm a bit in regards to technology wise. So, I bought myself a one of those drawing pencils, and for those who know me, I've actually always loved drawing. But reality, I probably could have gone without it. Now, it wasn't exactly a few hundred. I think I paid like $49 for it, but still, it's something that we get caught up in. Oh, this is going to make me more efficient, or this is going to do whatever it's going to do. And I think the other one for me is on travels. I kind of let my guard go down a little bit in regards to, when you're away, you might overspend on a particular novelty item that you don't necessarily need. But these are okay. This is life, guys. We're not going to be perfect on everything we do when it comes to using our money. So, we want to be able to share that as well too. But on the flip side, Mason, has there been any maybe money wins that we've had for some clients as well too? Maybe some little small ones or big ones that we've had since we last caught up?
Oh, there's been plenty. I think there's been a hell of a lot of money wins. One that comes to mind for me was one of my clients who's been looking for a home for 18 months, and they just kept getting pipped at the post. It was like, just a bit too much, or their income wasn't quite right, or they had an unexpected expense that hit their deposit, and they finally were able to buy in, and they were ecstatic, which was always a nice feeling. I was having a call with him on the phone only a couple of weeks ago, and he was just telling me all the work he's been doing on the property, and he's just loving it. He's just loving being the homeowner and having that peace and be able to do his own thing with the property. He's absolutely loving it. And it's nice to see that all his hard work he's put in since I've been working with him has now paid off in that respect, because that was his biggest goal. And he never can sort of move on to other things too and just say, because he's a big holiday goer as well. So he can now move on, and he's going to go to Bali later in the year with his partner as well. So that was a huge one over the last few months that I can sort of think of that's come to mind.
Yeah, and that's great. I obviously know who you're talking about, and he's been working, hard. I think it's probably been 18 months, 2 years to kind of get him into that position, and good on him. And I think a money win for me was actually with a prospective client, a client that didn't come over to us at the time yet, but I kind of just went away and I said to them, listen, based on what I can see in your finances, I need you to go away and get this particular income. Yeah, and I gave them a step-by-step guide of how it's going to work, when they're going to start working with us. And I wanted them to pitch much higher than they thought they were going to get. Yeah. And I gave him an understanding about where he currently sits in regards to other people in his occupation. And he went away and got that income. Now, why it was more important was not the numbers that he got, was now what that enabled him and his family to do. Immediately, that stress was relieved from them. I could tell the excitement and the happiness from the conversation, because they were getting themselves out of that challenge, drowning, not having enough money, to now being able to kind of move forward with their life and not having the wife who was off work having children. She didn't also have to rush back to work, which was an amazing relief for them. So I think a great money win was actually with a prospective client who is now working with us, but at that point in time, just needed that roadmap and that understanding to do what's next to get them out of their situation that they were in. So, I was very humbled to be in that position to enable them to start the right steps forward to live a better life. So there's some money tips and obviously some of our own mistakes, and we see often many mistakes happen along the way. But Mason, what's some common mistakes that you see from clients or prospective clients when you're looking back in their history of their money?
Yeah, what I'm seeing a lot of at the moment is just not knowing where your money's going. So when clients come on board with us, they of course complete a budget planner, and that can be sometimes a bit of an eye-opening experience. And even when you do complete the budget planner, there's often many expenses that have been understated, and we need to know what's going out, because what measure gets tracked and can be improved on. So that's crucially important. And what I'm seeing a lot of at the moment as well is there's a lot of spending going on takeaway food and ordering in food. It's a huge expense. We know food's expensive, even the groceries, it's a crazy expense, but that's flowed onto fast food and things even more so, I think. And just seeing, again, that opening, it's like, oh, wow, I'm spending $200 a week on Uber Eats, for instance. That's a lot of money. That's $10,000 a year, which could be going towards other things. I get it too. Like, we don't want to be cooking all the time, but I really think that's an easy win to do some meal prep and things of that nature, to get that expense down. I think it's a really, really easy win. It's something I'm seeing a lot of, because some things we haven't really got a great deal of control over, like utilities. Utilities are going to be utilities. Like, you're not going to live in the cold. You're not going to have hot water and things. So they're going to be around about the same, or I know they're going up, of course, but you can't really control that. But I think food is something you really can control, and it's something that I've been talking to my clients about and seeing if they're open to making that change.
Yeah. See, planning in every facet just has so many gains. And when you can plan your meals, you can start to get some efficiencies in the way that you use your money and reuse certain foods as well too. And I remember speaking to Adam Rice, who's a well-known chef for hire, and he was talking about, just prepping and, going to Asian grocers and stuff like that, rather than going to the major food supermarkets. Food is a big one, and I think that's something that people can often control. And don't get me wrong, food prices have gone up, but it is a big amount of people's money that's going out to those certain things. So I think cash flow is one, but I think also a big facet or big area that I see that people aren't looking at is their own mindset and behavior. And so what they're tending to do at the moment, especially with the cost of living rising, debt repayments going up, is they're giving up. And it's sad to see, because, you think about sport, which has such a correlation to what we do. And, I look at footy players, AFL players who have made it that I knew in juniors. They weren't necessarily the most talented, but they were the ones that always would do the extra sprints, do the extra runs. They would stay consistent. When everyone was going out to party, they would kind of not party, and they would consistently train, and they would stay on. And as people were dropping off in their under 14s, then under 16s, then under 18s, they would just keep going. And you'd be like, oh, he made it into the AFL. He got recruited by Collingwood, or he got recruited by Essendon. But they were just doing silently in the background, just chipping away at it, chipping away at it, chipping away at it. And that's what wealth creation's all about. If you want to create and be successful in something, it's consistency is a huge one. It's not about giving up. And don't get me wrong, even with me, there's times that I'm just like, stuff it, I can't be bothered. Yeah. And that's in everyone. That's what we get. But we need to create the right behaviors to understand the purpose and the goal so that we stay consistent to where we need to get to. So I see a lot of people going, it is too hard. Stuff it, stop the investing, withdraw the investments, put it into our bank account. Don't worry about extra repayments, and not look at it and go, oh my gosh, am I now ruining my finances because it's hard? And Mason, it's only human behavior to want to stop the pain as quickly as possible and doing everything you possibly can to stop the pain. And I find a lot of people that I hear and conversations from people around, they just want to give up because the pain's too much. Are you seeing that? And obviously the detrimental effects that's happening on people, not necessarily straight away, but their 10 or 20 years self. Are you seeing that?
Sadly, yes. I am seeing this, and not necessarily in our client circle, because our clients are fantastic. They're achieving things, and it's so awesome. It's so rewarding to see that. But I'm seeing it a lot on social media. There's a lot of people who are straight out giving up, and it is hard. Like, there's no easy fix with it, unfortunately. Well, I say unfortunately, but actually that's not true. Anything worth having is going to be hard. If it was easy, then everyone would have it, and then financial freedom would be easily attainable. That's why not many people get there, because it is hard to do. But tell you what else is hard, John, is working every day, grinding, hoping the government's going to pay you a pension. That is also hard. So choose your hard. It's a common saying I'm seeing across social media, like David Goggins and things, like choose your hard. But it is so true. So if you dig in now and do the hard things to build your wealth, it gets easier on the other side, because we've got the compounding that's happening, and these behaviors ingrained in you. It makes it a hell of a lot easier. And that's the thing. It's getting through this grind, and the grind I see, John, is it's probably around in your late 20s, early 30s. Your career's building, which is fantastic, but you're not quite yet peak earning years yet. You're starting a family. You might have bought your own house, maternity leave. These things are happening. Plus, you want to live as well. You want to go on holidays because you're young. You want to be traveling and things. So all these things happen all at once. It gets really hard at that point. It's really hard to save. It's really hard to give up things. That's where I see where the fork in the road happens. And that's where you choose that hard. It's like, are we going to continue on the wealth creation journey, or are we going to say, give it up for 10 years? Oh, while the kids are young, we're going to just do what we want. That's your call. But choose your heart.
So what do you have to say for that young family? Yeah. So let's just paint the picture. They're in their early 30s. They've got a couple of kids. The partner's working part-time. The main income earner's working full-time, probably full-time and a half, but not getting paid for it. Their debt has ballooned because they've bought a house to accommodate for the family. They're living a nice luxury or a comfortable way of living, and they're not getting anywhere. What do you have to say for those people that from the outside look beautiful and perfect, and it looks like an amazing life, but behind closed doors, they're scared to look at their finances? What do you have to say to those people?
I think it's a really societal problem as well. I think we care so much about what other people think. It's like, oh, we've bought this nice house because we want other people to think that we have all this money, and we buy nice cars and we do these things. No one actually really cares. It's a harsh reality, but no one actually really cares what you have. It's what people care what they have. They don't really care what you have. So for me, it's trying to care less about what other people think and trying to live within your own means and what's going to be good for you. I met with one of my client couples last night. I love them because they've bought a place well within their means. Their mortgage is well under control. His partner's on mat leave at the moment, but they're still saving money. They're still investing, still doing the things because they didn't overstretch themselves at that point in time. They made a really great decision. Is it their dream house? Probably not. But it's a house where they wanted to live and well within their means. So for me, it's all about being within your means. That's my big takeaway when it comes to these things. And that's how you can get ahead rather than living on debt and overstretching yourself because it is hard. Once you've overstretched, it's like a rubber band you keep stretching. It's hard to get to back into that original shape again because you've sort of torn it so much. But for me, it's trying to not keep up with all the other people you're sort of seeing on socials because we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. How stressed are these people with the nice houses and the nice cars? What's their debt even look like? So John, that'll be my sort of big tip there when it comes to these things.
So, and that's great tips, Mason. But pretending I'm them, I feel like I've made a mistake, Mason. I feel like I've made a mistake. I feel like I've let my family down because I've overstretched in my house. My wife's got a beautiful car. My kids are at nice schools. I'm not going to take them out of schools. What do I do next? I'm all ears. What do I do next?
Well, I love you said that at the end there because that's the first one. You've got to be all ears. You've got to be willing to listen to suggestion because you can't just keep doing the same thing, expect a different result. So I love that. And you also mentioned there around you don't want to take the children out of school. Like that's clearly must be a really strong value for this example couple. So okay, we don't want to take kids out of school. Okay, so that's got to stay. So what other levers can we then pull? Do we need this really, really nice house? Is there an opportunity to downsize? Is that an opportunity for you guys? That's a huge decision, but that one can really shift the dial. As you can imagine, you have less debt, that can really shift it. But also, do we need that nice car? Can we downgrade the car even? Like that doesn't move the dial as much as the house, but that is another lever we can pull as well. So there are some really massive levers we can pull. Or if we want to keep these things, which a lot of people do, of course, can we elevate income to support the lifestyle? That's the other lever we can pull.
And this is where I wanted to get to, which is why I said it the way I did. See, what usually happens as we go through this exercise with clients is, no, I can't move on the house. You know, the house is close to the school, it accommodates for the family. I can't do that. Can you go through and maybe not go on the holidays every year? Oh, I can, but I don't really want to. Kids look forward to it every single year. And we have a break. It's the time that I find where I can relate to my family. All right, well, what about the car? Yeah, we can do the car, but by the time I actually sell it, buy something else, it's not really worth the exercise. So what are you willing to do? Okay, and this is where Mason talked about the ability to elevate your income. So first and foremost, you need to control your lifestyle creep. And this is the mistake that people are making. As soon as the income goes up, the lifestyle follows. Income goes up and lifestyle follows. And in most cases, what we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years, before people have come to see us, is that lifestyle creep goes beyond the income creep. And it's actually debt that's fueling. And so if you look at your debt and you say to yourself, oh, I bought a house for $800,000 and I had a loan for $800,000 when I bought the house, and now the debt is $900,000, but it's the same house. How did that happen? Yeah, refinance to accommodate for lifestyle, refinance to accommodate for lifestyle, and your debt's getting bigger, not smaller. Okay, if you want to prove this, go have a look at some of the banking profits that the banks are making at the moment. Yeah, what's going on? Okay. And I don't think as a society that's going to change. Okay. In America, if you look about America, this is exactly what's going on with there, being credit cards, personal loans, whatever. Okay. So first you need to control lifestyle creep. Okay. And it's not going to happen overnight, everyone, but you've got to be all ears and be willing to change. Okay. Then elevate your income. Now, people might say in regards to elevate income, I can't do it. Okay, I've gone to my employer. My employer is saying that they can't pay me more. Cool. And that might be an honest, valid reason from your employer. Remember, your employer is feeling the stresses right now. Okay. Most small businesses, medium businesses are feeling the pressure right now of trying to keep people employed, and profit margins are going down. Okay. Especially with low productivity levels. But hang on a second. The wife in this scenario is working part-time. Okay, that means that, let's say in this case, half of the income is being lost. Can she pick up another day? Can she pick up another half day? Okay. Can they alternate where the person's, maybe the main income earner is working 5 days, takes care of the kids on the weekends, but one person on a Saturday picks up an extra day's work? Now, you might be going like, John, that's crazy. Like, oh, we don't want to be doing that. Well, hang on a second. You don't want to be getting rid of that. Yeah. House, car, lifestyle, holidays, blah, blah, blah. You got to choose your hard, like Mason's saying. Okay. Choose your hard. Which one do you want to do? This is where I'm seeing the ultimate problem, that people aren't willing to get themselves out of it. Kicking the can down the road. Okay. Kicking the can down the road. Now, I remember having conversations with my parents and my grandparents, and my grandparents would say that they'd hardly see each other because then they had no help, okay? Back in the 1950s, 1960s, they had no help from grandparents or dad or childcare and stuff like that. So my grandfather would come home, he'd high-five my grandmother would go to work, she'd work 2 jobs, my grandfather would work 2 jobs, and then when the kids were of age to start taking care of each other, they would start taking care of each other so that they would work more. That's less than 100 years. We've gone from that society of work to try and get somewhere so that they can be comfortable and provide a better financial future for themselves and not drown themselves in debt, to be in a scenario going, no, I'm not willing to make the trade-off. So the money mistakes that these people are making are behavioral and not willing to make the change. If you want a 6-pack hard enough, Mason, yes, I know there's some genetics that work against this, but if you can genetically have a 6-pack, you just got to be willing to want it that much to want to get it back. Correct?
Correct. Spot on. Yeah, it's all about discipline. And I think where we're being led astray, John, or what I think anyway, is we're seeing also the rise of social media has just been insane. It's done so many positives for society, but it also has some drawbacks. There's no gain without take. For me, what we're seeing is these people living these dream lifestyles, but also we're also seeing people spruik, we need balance. We need, I don't want to work from this time to this time, and I want to go on holidays all this time. Balance is great. However, unfortunately, you can't really have both all the time. Sometimes there's going to be periods in your life where work is making up 60, 70% of your time, and you're not getting as much breaks and things. Like you're really grinding to earn that income. There's going to be times in your life when that's reversed. It's going to be more with family and these types of things. So balance doesn't necessarily have to be 20% here, 20% there, 20% there. Balance can be a lot of different things. Balance might be, in this time of our lives, work is going to make up most of my time because I want to get ahead, which means I'm sacrificing on the holidays and the weekends and things like that. I'm sacrificing on my leisure time for the work time. And that doesn't mean you have to do it forever. It's just, you can't have it all straight away. It's really hard thing that we're seeing false messages, John. And it's really hard. And it's like, I want everything, but I also want balance. They can't coexist all the time.
100%, Mason. And I look at myself, which you know me and the way that I go about things and the way that I work. And, you know, it took me about 12 years, Mason, to get to the point where I go on like a European holiday or an big overseas holiday every year. That was one, for everyone hearing, that was one of my main goals. Like if you speak to my wife when we first met, I said, my dream is I want to be able to kind of work hard, but for 4 to 8 weeks a year, go away and just chill out. Yeah, that's what I wanted in my thing. But that was 12 years in the making of getting to that point and grinding. Yeah. And not doing that every single year and giving up and I remember when I met my wife, I was driving like a little Ford Focus. Like, honestly, people used to call it a girl's car. All my mates had these nice, hotted up cars when I was young, and I just had this Ford Focus for a while because I said to myself, like, does that really do anything for me? Okay. I understood the whole A to B, and it was just it was a business car. Yeah. I would go see clients and stuff like that. So there was trade-offs that I made in the past to get me to that position. However, still now, and Mason would vouch for this, let's say I go on holidays maybe 8 to 10 weeks a year, okay? For the other weeks of the year, Mason knows I'm probably nearly clocking up more hours a week than anyone in the organisation, okay? For the fact that is my balance. My balance is I have worked out for me personally, that my balance is not to have 4 days on, 4 days off, 4 days on, 4 days off. That doesn't work for me. And it works different for everyone. Yeah. My balance is long, hard stint, off. Long, hard stint, off. Long, hard stint, off. But you got to do the 10 to 12 years that I had to do, and not 10 to 12 years. I had to do the 10 to 12 years to get me into the position to be able to do that. And I think, Mason, people are willing to do the decade of hard for the decade of fine. I was doing a plan with a client the other day who was on their knees, I'm going to say. Yeah. Drowning in debt, can't keep up with repayments, so on and so forth. Mapped out, going from that scenario to being completely debt-free in 12 years from now. Yeah, completely debt-free in 12 years. And by the time they were in their mid-50s, they're going to have over $1 million sitting in outside superannuation investments. By the time they're in superannuation phase at 60, they're going to have millions of dollars. Okay? I got to ask the question, why won't this work? You'll give up. The likelihood is that if you don't listen to us and stay accountable, you give up. But if you think we're talking crap, how many people stay at the gym? Stay there, consistently going to the gym? How many people consistently stick to a diet? How many people consistently meditate? We all know this is good for you. It's that. And so you only have to look at Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett's success story is more about consistency over a long period of time than anything else. So I wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of people follow me on social media as well, but don't look at the holidays that John goes on and whatever, and I don't want you to remember the hard that happened decades before and what is behind the closed curtain, because a lot of people don't show that. They show the amazing, the nice car, the nice house, the perfect picture. Yeah. And I am blessed for what I've got, but also I want people to appreciate the effort, because if you're listening to this or you're watching this, I want you to put in the effort and be willing to open your ears, listen to advice, okay? And then create a game plan to put yourself in a better position 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 18 months from now. Which brings me on to my next point, Mason. I think a lot of people can learn from the mistake of getting caught up in wanting to get rich quickly and focus on what would make them happy just 6 or 12 months from now. And I know I was in a meeting with you, I think it was last week, where you asked a wonderful question to the client, which I know you do every single time, is where do you want to essentially be in 12 months? What would make you happy in your financial situation from where you will be, from where you are now to where you are in 12 months? Do you think that people don't ask themselves that question enough?
100%. I don't think people know where I want to be next week. Like, straight up. I think people are so caught up in the rigmarole of the day and just getting through. Like, I've got to get through work today, then I've got to cook dinner, and people get caught up in this, and then they realize, oh, it's been another year already. I haven't actually done anything to go ahead and achieve my goals. And that happens year after year. But we set New Year's resolutions again. So, we'll do it this year. Fades away. It's really hard. Discipline is really, really hard. And when you mentioned there before about what will not make this work, this with this modeling, you're right, it is discipline because the beautiful thing about maths, and that's all the modeling is, it's just mathematics. Played out over
Visually
time.
represented. Yeah.
Math doesn't lie. That's the best thing about math. I always loved math at school because English was so subjective. And you could get it wrong, but like depending on the teacher, mathematics, 2 plus 2 is 4, no matter who the teacher is. It's so subjective and it doesn't lie. So if you follow the numbers, it's like if I do this, we can achieve this. That's the beauty of it. But then also on the downside, if you don't do this, you will not get there. So it's yes or no. I love that about math, but that's where discipline is so important. And we want to be doing this 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. But as you said, John, breaking that down into smaller goals. We want to be in 12 months from now and slowly getting there. Because it's hard to see ourselves in 10 years' time. Like, who knows where I want to be? But a year from now, a lot easier. And we can achieve a lot in a year. A year's quite a long time if you are committed to your goals.
And I find, Mason, on that point is when they're also talking about where they want to be in 12 months or when they've got that kind of mentality of, I want to be this multi-millionaire, a lot of people I see have not figured out what their number is. Yeah. And two, they're chasing the wrong level of benchmark, which is also a mistake. And obviously today's about mistakes. So number one is when you're looking at where you want to be in 12 months or what you ultimately want, what I want you to think about is forget the numbers. Throw the numbers in the bin for now, this exercise. What I want you to do is look at your life in 10 or 20 years from now. Okay, so let's say I'm using that family before. 10 years from now, we want to be in a position that we're ideally no longer shackled to our money. I would like to be in a position where I can take time off if I want to take time off and I'm not required to work the 6th day, the 5th day, and I'm maybe in a position where I can move back down to 4 days a week. Okay. We've provided for our children. We might be in a position where we're able to help them with, say, a deposit for a house. That means a lot to me. And that we are going away on family holidays each and every year because I know that my children are young and I'm never going to have that again. I did not once say what number I want. Now, if I know that, then I can work out. So once I know the vision, I can now work out the goals. So for that person to be in a scenario, they mentioned around being able to cut back days. So they need to create a passive income stream to be able to replace those days worth of income. So then we can reverse engineer what mechanism or solution that needs to happen there to ensure that that happens at that point in time. Also, he spoke about that sense of, I want that security. I don't want to be shackled to my money, okay? Usually people say that when they're in high levels of debt. They owe people money, okay? So we need to get that debt under control. Now, maybe not completely paid off. I don't know if 10 years is realistic or not realistic, and none of this vision might be realistic at all, but we need to work towards that scenario. And do you think that that person would care if we went and said it might be 11 years or 9 years? No, they're talking about roughly 10 years. And your listeners and viewers, you're talking roughly. It's not exactly by that point in date. They're markers, okay, of roughly where we want to be. And also we need to accommodate for those things of those experiences because those experiences are very important for that person. So understanding that vision. Now, if I ask that same question to that person and say, okay, well, let's take that and we're working towards that and let's just imagine that's planned out and that happens. Now, where do you want to be in 12 months from now? I want to feel like we're moving forward. I want to feel like we're moving forward. I feel like we're staying stagnant, if not moving backwards. And I feel so stressed that I don't know a way out of this. Do you see? Going from like Just get me to here. And that's what we're talking about. This is a climb to Everest financial freedom. Yeah, it's not just a little crest in a road. Yeah, this is Everest. So let's just take step after step after step after step, and we're not going to sugarcoat this. This will be hard, like Mason said. Okay, but you create the right behaviors, the right techniques, the right processes. You have someone pushing you along the way. You'll end up getting there. Yeah. So your mindset, your behaviors are very, very important. So if you're feeling that way, please don't give up. You know, me and Mason have a passion for this. Kicking things down the road is not what we want you to do. We want you to draw a line in the sand. If you need help, we're obviously here to help. Okay. And you know, you can contact us. But I think you've just got to be open, have your ears open and be willing to learn, okay, and learn from these techniques. So, Mason, did you want to share anything from about those people who might be making those mistakes? And we talked about being aware and you know, kind of not managing their money. We've talked about behaviors and expectations and society. Is there anything else that you maybe want to speak about that because before I get into the next cohort that I'm seeing some mistakes with?
Yeah, actually, when you were speaking then, something that came to my mind was the word progress. And what does progress actually mean? Because I think sometimes we can get so caught up in the numbers that we lose track of what progress actually is. And the example that came to mind was, say, a client came to see us, John, they weren't invested correctly and their super wasn't really working for them, paying too much in fees, all these types of things. And we fixed that up. And let's say they moved into a more of a higher growth because they're quite young, their superannuation, they're saving more on fees. But let's say the share market took a turn and the high growth option went down further than their more conservative option would have. So then you're looking 12 months from now, it's like, oh, my numbers, they're lower than I thought they would be. It's like, that's still progress though, because you've moved the dial in the right direction. Yes, the numbers are different, but we know there's volatility. That's what's going to happen, but they still progress. So I think sometimes we get so caught up in the numbers. It's like, oh, the numbers didn't go up, therefore I'm behind. Not true. It's little things.
So benchmarking the wrong thing. For example, the whole we'll only come see you if we're going to make a better performance. You can't control that, everyone. Yeah, you can't control performance. Get that, regardless of if it's working with an advisor or working with you, you can't control that. If you think you are, please enlighten me on how that works, okay? So I think that's a really good one, Mason, that you brought that up in regards to benchmarking and progress and what that looks like, because that is a very common mistake that people have. And also, a lot of people in the finance industry do come out and sell themselves as being these managers that know more than everyone else. And I can tell you that's not true either. We're going to myth bust that today, okay? Mason, do you think that people in that scenario are just caught up with what they should benchmark with? Like, what do you think it is?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of that, John. I think there's a lot of, we see on TV that such and such super fund did 8% or 9% over the last 30 years. And there's like, oh, I didn't do 9% this year, therefore my super fund's not right for me. It's not true. And obviously, John, when you started your business, you would have invested some capital into the business. So your numbers on your balance sheet would have looked probably worse. It's like, oh, I've spent this money on business and this business is not even making any money. What the hell am I doing here? But
mate, 4 years in, I was still having question marks about I should just go work for a bank. Yeah.
Right. But then you're making progress. Even though the balance sheet is not saying it, progress is not linear either. I think that's a common belief. So we just think it's going to be a straight line up. I wish it was. That would make it a lot easier. It'd be fantastic. But unfortunately, it's not. And John, I'm sure you would have learned a hell of a lot of lessons in that time where you were potentially on the numbers going backwards. It's like, hard. And you find out a lot about yourself too, don't you, John? Like, it's those hard moments like, oh, can I do it? Can I do it? And then you've done it. Now you've got that mental resolve. It's like, yeah, I can do it. And then the next challenge that arises, which, John, there will be another challenge. Even though you've built this business up now, there will be another time where there could be some like regulations change, as you know. That challenge, you know, you can get through it because you've done it before, and you're compounding on that as well. It's not just your money; it's your beliefs, it's your mindset that compounds as well.
Mason, I'll go personal training. Yeah, and I was with the trainer this morning. Okay, and my weight, actual body weight, has gone up. Okay, so which is not one of my goals. I want my goals to be that I'm losing weight. However, in between that time, my back went. I had a back incident. Yeah, where my back was hurting. Okay, I had shoulder injury, which happened as well. Both things that I couldn't control. Okay. However, my strength in regards to what I can lift has gone up. Yeah. But knowing that there's progress in areas has enabled me to go, okay, well, you know what? Let's just focus on that. We're doing really well. Let's continue to stay consistent in regards to creating more activity, calories in, calories out, blah, 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 and we will chip away at it. Now, do I sit there and go, bad personal trainer? Yeah. Or bad John? Yeah. No. Like, if you have a back injury, you are going to be more sedentary. If you have a shoulder injury, you're not going to be able to train as hard as if you didn't have the shoulder injury. So, of course, my calorie in, calorie out, and being able to adjust my diet to accommodate, it is quite difficult to maintain those in those circumstances. However, me being able to kind of still get the strength back up to where it needs to be or exceeding, great work. Yeah. So we just need to be mindful. We need to take the same view as we view on some other progress in regards to measures like that, in regards to our finance world. Now, Mason, I want to talk about another group quickly. And this is the group of people that are flourishing right now. Yeah. These are the people that are earning good income. Okay. They've got the right behaviors. They've got the cash flow under control. They know exactly where things are going. They're paying off their debt, but they're questioning their investment strategies. They're questioning their ability to grow. They've learned from Barefoot Investor of how to kind of manage their money. They've gone on to Dr. Google and they've figured out some ETFs and all of that stuff. What are you seeing first and foremost, the common mistakes once you open the envelope or open up their books? Yeah. And then what tips do you have for these people to take their stuff to the next level?
Yeah, it's a good one. This group is definitely not as common, but we do see them quite a lot as well. And first of all, well done to getting to that point where you are flourishing and you feel like, oh, I'm not growing enough. Good problem to have, definitely. And for me, it's around managing expectation. So they might be earning good money and do all these things. Do they actually need to be earning more? Like they might not need to earn more, like to achieve their goals and things. It might be you're doing everything right to achieve these goals. If you do need to supercharge things, yeah, there's things you can do, of course. But I think for me, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel. Like you're doing these things and they've worked for you so far. Why try to disrupt it? John, you use the example of the pilot a lot in the airplane. And when things are going smoothly, it's like, should we speed the plane up a bit? Because it's going all well. Like there's no turbulence or anything. Let's just speed it up and put it in overdrive. Take that risk with the plane. Or is getting to the destination safely, is that more than enough? So for me, it's around that because, yeah, I think when things are going really well for us, I think there might be a part of us that thinks things aren't going to go as well forever. Therefore, I need to make the most of it now. And there's some truth in that too, but there's also truth in the fact that you don't need to blow up what's been working for you either.
That's a very, very good tip. I think what happens when I first look at these people's situations though, some of them, I'm going to be straight, there's a bit of luck there. Okay, there's always a little bit of luck. Yeah, they got an employee share plan with an IPO'd company and it done really well, or there was inheritance that came in at a particular time. They bought into a property market, and there's always a little bit of luck. Yeah, and everyone's got to have a little bit of luck along the way. Okay, if you've got the bat or the short straw all the time, unfortunately, it's going to be a hard road up. But there's always a bit of luck. Therefore, there's sometimes a little bit of, I know what I'm doing too well. Okay. And there needs to be this self-reflection of, yes, you've done well. However, could you have done it better? So there's optimization I find with these people. One of the biggest ones is around tax. Okay. It's hugely about tax. Too many people I find donate to the tax office. The wealthy know how to legally work their way through the tax system to not pay one extra dollar that they don't need to. Okay, so tax is a big one for these people. Two, a lot of people are accumulating wealth just to make more money. How many people have not figured out their fulfillment in life? So what they tend up doing is buying things, cars, houses, blah, 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 because that's what everyone does at this stage of their life. However, if you can find yourself and find your purpose, you then supercharge your money to be the vehicle to get to the purpose. Okay? And so I find that purpose, I find the tax a big one at this point. And also the other one that creeps in at this stage, if they get to significant levels of wealth, is around keeping the money. Okay, keeping it. Because you've got to remember, as you accumulate wealth, more people want to take your money away from you. Yeah? Is it being daughter-in-laws, son-in-laws, company operations that you've got? The risks elevate as the wealth grows. And so being able to go to and surround yourself with professionals, be wealth advisor, accountant, lawyer, very, very important to do at this stage. Okay. And to be honest with you, at this stage, if you get it right, you can get yourself to financial freedom very efficiently. Okay. However, these people also become lazy. Gets to the point where they say to themselves, I'm comfortable. I don't want to push anymore. Okay. Complacency sets in. Okay. That's cool. You can be comfortable. You can be complacent. But remember, we said to the cohort before that the journey is hard and it's Everest. If you're at this stage, you haven't got there. Can you stop work tomorrow? Can you go to your employer, or can you turn your business, like walk away from your business and it self-propel itself? Then you're not done yet, because the question that to that person is, do you want to work for the rest of your life? And what I mean is not have it, you have to work, not choice. And if the answer is no, the job's not done yet, because you've got to get to that purpose. Okay. Now, money is not everything. This is why I said money is the vehicle to get to the purpose. You need to figure that out. So this cohort, congratulations. You got yourself out of comfort. You got yourself out of challenge. You're in a good growth space. But be aware, you can always learn. Okay. Surround yourself with the right people. Okay. Don't become complacent. Don't donate to the tax office if you don't need to. The government doesn't do enough good things with our money. Okay. Optimize. Get a plan, clarity, and bring that choice earlier, and then maintain it. Make sure that people aren't trying to take your money away from you, okay? Because these risks elevate as you get more wealth. Okay, these are some of the mistakes that I see. Mason, that's been a really good chat in regards to the mistakes that people make and that we're seeing at the moment. But I think that I'm seeing a lot of people do really, really well, making really good headway. I know that we do progress snapshots for a lot of people, and the measures in regards to how they're feeling and confidence and obviously their money is they're doing well even at this period of time. And I think that goes into the preparation and the planning and everything we've spoken about today. But for everyone listening and watching, you will get through if you create a plan to get through. But putting your head in the sand and doing nothing about it, your situation is not going to change, because you have to be willing to change and then make the changes, and then your situation will change. So hopefully there have been some awesome tips. But more importantly, Mason, it's Anzac Day tomorrow. And Mason is an Essendon supporter, everyone, and I'm a Collingwood supporter. So Mason, what's your tip for tomorrow?
I'm heading to the game, so I'm hoping for a Bombers win, but I must admit I have tipped Collingwood. I think Collingwood have just gone into some really good form as of last week. I think they they found their gear again. But in saying that, Essendon's playing good football too. So I actually think, compared to last year, I think it'll be a really cracking game. I think it'll be really close, but I think Collingwood in a close one.
There you go. There you go. So, Mason, I'm going to the game too, and I think this is the first time I'm telling you. So I might have to see you there. But yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be an Anzac Day for the AFL fans to watch, regardless if you're a Collingwood supporter or an Essendon supporter. I think most people, most of the time, doesn't matter where they are on the ladder, they give a red hot crack tomorrow. And I think it's also an opportunity for people who don't watch AFL to just surround themselves with their families and their friends again. So, we've had a few public holidays, but, for everyone, have a great Anzac Day. For all the Anzacs as well too, we remember them and what they served for our beautiful country in Australia as well too. So, thank you, Anzacs, I guess. So, Mason, thanks for jumping on, and thanks everyone for listening and watching. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Sean. Go Bombers.
Till next time. See ya. Bye.